Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig, joined by Jeff today, as always. No special guests or anything like that. Maybe one day we'll have somebody else here so we don't have such consensus ranks like we did in our last one. It was like we might need somebody that doesn't think like us, because man, our part one of wide receiver ranks were just like almost identical. It felt like in a way. We no more than like 4 positions off on these guys, except for like 2 players.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, out of our top 25, we only talked about 27 players.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I guess.
So I have a feeling it'll
I'm
deviate.
worried about our drafts coming up this year because we're way too consistent on these guys. We're really, I mean, we're not off on much, but I think this is where it gets interesting, is part 2 here.
Yeah, you can't really, especially once you go below 30-ish, 35, you can really go any which way, and especially who you're high on, who you're not, who you think is going to get more playing time.
Yep.
So, I mean, if we end up only talking about a few players extra, that'd be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen, though.
No, not with these. I just feel like it's going to be, I don't know, all over the place, especially in that 40 to 50 range. So we'll see what we got. In the meantime, though, make sure you get reviews in for our review contest. If you haven't heard anything about it yet, it's all on the website at fantasyfootballprophet.com. Just click Custom League Podcast. You'll see our review contest. Basically, just write us a review, send it to us, and we will enter you into the contest for a Custom League podcast for your league. And, you know, it's always it'd be kind of a fun thing to hear, I think, you know, what we think about your league. Because who knows? We might completely think different than what you guys are thinking, and just might be good to hear an outside voice that's not in your league. So if we think you're the top team in the league, you can brag to everyone else. Say, hey, I had the best draft here. And we'll let you know. We won't go easy on anybody either. If we think your team sucks, we'll probably tell you your team sucks. So if you want one of those, you know, get the reviews in so we can get you into the contest. That'll go till probably about August 1st. When, you know, everyone will start drafting the next couple weeks after that, and we'll get your leagues done hopefully before the season starts. So if you draft like a day or 2 before the season, we'll be rushed, but we'll get it done for you either way. On Twitter, you can find us at the FF Prophet or fantasyfootballprophet.com. Send us an email, fantasyfootballprophet@gmail.com. Any questions you have, we'll get to them for you. All right, here we go, Jeff. My number 26. Start right off. I'm not excited about this player. I'm going to say this a lot going on because, I mean, there's some guys that just like, okay, I see the potential there. This one, I don't know if I do anymore. It's Emmanuel Sanders. He's my 26th player. And we talked about Demarius. I like Demarius for, you know, have him up higher than you did. I think he'll be consistent enough. I don't know if his offense is good enough to sustain 2 wide receivers anymore. I'm still putting him there, thinking he still can do it. But I'm not sold 100% on him yet. What are you thinking?
He's one of those guys I think I'm low on, because even last year I looked him up because I wasn't sure where I wanted to put him either. And he was number 21 overall last year, and I have him in number 33. Okay. So it does worry me. I think I am low on him. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm wrong, because people can obviously jump over him. They can do better. There's not a whole lot to be excited about with that quarterback situation.
I'm just not terribly excited. But we're actually both low. He's consensus. He's 23rd.
Is he? All right.
So
I don't know.
But see, that's what I told him. This is a guy for sure, though. I'm just not that excited. I feel like he has to kind of be in this range. I mean, I can see a little bit of potential, maybe, but I don't feel like it's something that can be sustained over a long period of time. I mean, he had a couple great games last year, and then it kind of just tailed off again. I mean, as a wide receiver 3, he's probably okay. But I'm not even excited about that. I don't necessarily want to plug him into my lineup every single week. So I'm probably going to avoid him because there's some guys here below him that I'm not. They're not, right now they shouldn't be ranked ahead of him, but I feel like they could jump him. So that's kind of where I'm at. And you obviously felt the same way, and you actually did rank him more probably what you.
Yeah.
I
did.
I can see that. I can definitely see that because I was thinking of putting him lower too.
I followed my gut a little more than my head on this one, and he probably should be a little higher, but I don't feel bad about ranking him low.
I wouldn't. I don't either. I wouldn't feel bad about that at all. All right, 26 for you.
26 for me is Kelvin Benjamin.
Okay. Kelvin's my 27.
Okay. He's a big body. He's done it before. He's pretty much a guaranteed on that offense.
Well, and that's more what I'm saying with the Sanders and Benjamin could disappoint. Injuries and that offense, again, wasn't good, but he has so much more potential to be a great receiver. And there was those rumors that he was like 280 pounds. I don't believe any of that crap. There's no way he weighed in at 280.
Yeah, even if he did, there's no one else on that Panthers offense. They were terrible last year. Absolutely awful, their offense. And he was still number 20 overall. He's such a big body. They have McCaffrey. Hopefully the run game will let up and give Newton a little more time to throw. I think Kelvin Benjamin is, especially if you can give him in this range, is very, very safe.
Even last year, coming off an injury with an offense that was struggling, he still had almost 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. So at this range, I think that's complete low end of what he could do. I mean, that's his rookie year, 1,000 catches, 9 touchdowns. He should be more in that range. He has, but the potential to really jump up. Especially
he does.
Cam got surgery, maybe he'll be better. McCaffrey's there, it just could be better all around.
Yeah, and I really do think that this guy could be a lot higher. Before I rank him any higher, I want to make sure that offense actually does get better because they're pretty atrocious at times. What is the consensus on him?
On Kelvin Benjamin, let me see here. Let me pull this up. 31st. So actually, we're slightly higher on him, but we're not that much different.
Yeah, not that far off.
No, not much different, but some people are a little more down on him than we are, I guess. So, what do you got? 27. Did we talk about your 27 last week or not?
No, we did not.
Last show.
So for my number 27th, it's a man moving up to wide receiver 2, where Michael Thomas used to hold it and did very, very well. I have Willie Snead sneaking up there because of that. I mean, New Orleans throws it to everyone. He's always produced when he's there. He hasn't been too high in touchdowns, but obviously that can increase as he's the number 2 now. So I like his upside a whole lot. I think he's relatively safe as well. This might be a little higher, but I really like Willie Snead this year.
I have him 28th.
Oh, very nice.
So the only difference is I just had Sanders out of these two, and then we went with these two. I like him a lot, and I'm hoping other people don't. This could be one of those guys you can get for good value. I still feel like he's going to be under the radar, even with them jumping to wide receiver 2 on this offense. I still feel like he's going to be under the radar slightly. Consensus ranks are showing that right now as 36th.
Okay.
The highest anybody has him ranked in these ranks is 28th, is where I have him. So once Jeff becomes a Fantasy Pros expert, Jeff will be the highest on Willie Snead. And I'm right there. I'd be the other one right there. So we're both much higher. Still not way up, out there on him. But I like these catches have to go somewhere. It sustained Thomas and Cooks last year, no problem. I mean, maybe Ted Ginn's there now. He's not going to take away a lot of catches.
No,
he's going to have some big plays, but he's not going to be taking away. He's going to get 4 or 5 catches a game max. He's not taking away all these balls. Snead's
the real question,
very consistent.
Yeah, and the real question is Michael Thomas and Cooks were both top 10 guys last year.
Yeah, why can't Snead jump up?
Could Snead be even higher than this? I'm ahead. I have him ranked the highest out of all the people we're looking at.
Everybody.
He could easily go even higher as the number 2 guy. His touchdowns even get up to number 6 or something. He could be a top 15 guy, and you probably pay, basement prices on him. So
I'm excited about him.
He's a very nice one to watch.
I don't like this, Jeff, because we're both going to be going after him. And we're going to want his price is going to go up higher because we're both going to target him in our draft. And
there's plenty of guys to go after.
I like him a lot, though. I think because you can get him for a good price. That's what I'm most excited about. All right, so he was my 28th. You're 27th. So we're at 28 for you.
28 for me. Someone I'm not as excited about, but I felt like he had to be here because he's the only one left. But Eric Decker.
Okay. Decker, I didn't know what to do with Decker. I really didn't. I was kind of trying to figure. It's hard to say because you don't even know what's going to happen with that offense.
He's really in limbo at the moment, but he is a very, very solid wide receiver that always seems to catch touchdowns. Mm-hmm. He has 8 a year, just guaranteed like clockwork, pretty much. He usually gets about 1,000 yards. He's usually extremely safe. I just have no idea what's going on in New York. So that's why he kind of fell to this position. I don't know if I would have him too much higher, really, but he could be another bargain guy depending on what happens.
I have him 34th, so I'm not terribly off on him. Just to get, that's a price. I think he's going to be a good value. That's why we talked about him probably a couple months ago already, as we were already thinking of targeting him just because of the price.
Well, I mean, and no Brandon Marshall anymore, right? So he's number one.
I mean,
and
Anunwa. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Anunwa.
I mean, that is pretty much it. Powell might get some catches. Forte might get some catches. I mean, that's it. I mean, someone has to catch the ball.
And he's a possession guy, so he's not,
What do they got? You got Josh McCown throwing the ball to him now?
Yeah.
Josh McCown he's not like this great quarterback, but fantasy-wise, he's a player that can throw the ball around for you.
He's okay.
Yeah.
So, and he is a possession guy. Like, he's not linked to his speed, so he doesn't need that kind of, that situation in order to get himself open. So I think he's relatively safe to pick, and he's going to be the only guy there. You just have to hope that he comes back healthy. And
yep. I don't think there's much risk here because I don't think you're gonna have to pay much for him. That's the best thing with that. All right, so we're at 29. My 29th player is Julian Edelman.
Julian, what do I have him? Julian Edelman. He's number 34 for me.
So yeah, not far off.
And it's probably the same reason why you can bank on him doing certain things. He's just not going to catch a lot of touchdowns. If he does, kudos to you.
It's a touchdown because. If he caught touchdowns, I mean, he's way up there because 98 catches, 1,100 yards last year.
Yeah.
It's just he doesn't get those touchdowns. There's too many other guys that throw the ball to.
Yep. And you have Brandon Cooks now.
But I feel like Edelman's always a guy I feel like goes way undervalued. And in drafts that we've been in, personally, I feel like I always see him going. For some reason, I never jump on it either. But he's going there. He's like, in a $200 auction budget, he's like $15. And I'm like, the auction ends and he goes for $15. And it's like, man, I probably should have got him. Like that, if you can get him for that, that's I think very good value.
Yeah, that would be.
And it seems I always feel like he's a guy who just goes undervalued like that.
Yep. And I probably am one of those guys that undervalues him because of that though. Yeah, I mean 1,100 yards is great, but he's just one of those guys that kind of we talked about it the past podcast, but we're talking about the plays you don't get that excited about, like Baldwin, Crabtree. This would be another one where he's just very, very solid, doesn't have a whole lot of upside because you've already seen what he can do. That kind of upside.
On the consensus ranks, he's 24th.
We
are undervalued.
Yeah, I'm undervalued.
But at least for us, the rest of our league does too. So.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys. He's very happy to have him on your team, but for me, it's kind of that would be a placeholder for someone that I think I could get someone that jumps over him. Yeah, so exactly. For me, it's not worth it in that position because if I get him, he'd be my number 3 guy.
If you could get him where you have him ranked, which ends up almost being a 4th receiver,
exactly,
and you love putting him in bye weeks.
Yeah,
that's great. If he's actually an every week starter, with how many mouths are
I'd probably be
else to feed?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay
I wouldn't be upset by it, but I see some other guys I'd rather have.
Yep. All right, so that was my 29th. Your 34th. Mm-hmm. Did we get to your 29th player yet?
29th. We actually touched on it last week. Okay. That's Golden Tate for me.
Yep. Which same kind of thing as these guys. 30. Here we go. 30th player. Who is it?
My main man, Jamison Crowder.
He's my 30th too. I don't know why I thought that was going to happen. I just had some strange feeling we were both at him 30. That's why.
We should have went over this and just differed up a little bit. But yeah, Jamison Crowder. As we said, the Washington offense.
He's going to be solid. He's going to be that kind of.
Yeah, and last year he was so undervalued, and that's why I hyped him up. I really liked him. This year he's not going to be undervalued, I don't think. But the great thing about him, you don't really know what he's going to do this year. I think he'll still be a great PPR guy. I think he's going to catch a lot of balls. But
the thing is, a great PPR guy, he kind of feels like that, but he only had 67 catches. He had 7 touchdowns.
True.
It was good. It's weird. I think of him as that too.
Yeah.
I do. But it actually...
I think his catches will increase significantly because they got rid of Pierre Garçon. They got rid of Deshaun Jackson. It's all those other new guys.
Yeah.
And like a Doxson, I see him as more of a big threat guy.
Yep.
And I can't rely on Reed now. So I just think Jamison Crowder's numbers are going to jump up. I think that's going to be a large... pushing for his receptions.
It's strange because I like him too. It's strange how first thing in my mind is I feel like he's the PPR guy, but when you really look at it, he's not getting 90 catches, 80 catches.
No. I think he will. I really do.
I think he's getting up there too
this year. But yeah, I thought he was a little higher last year too.
That was actually kind of surprised me just seeing that. I think I like him though. I think he's going to be solid. My 31st was Martavis Bryant, who we went over last show.
Yeah.
So you're 31st.
My 31st is Tyreek Hill.
And another one that's just kind of.
I really would like to know where he's going to be on the consensus ranking.
I have him 37th.
Okay.
And consensus-wise, he's 34th. So splits us right in the middle.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to be the guy that went way higher.
Well, he's as high as 16th, as low as 58th.
Oh, okay, wow. So
right, and that makes sense.
Very divisive, yeah. I like where I have him 31st. I feel like that would be about value. I think there's in every single league there will be one person that way
that's
overvalues
the problem.
him.
We think the consensus puts him there. We put him there. At least one person in your league is going to put him 20th.
And it's not because he's not talented. I just have a hard time believing he can reproduce what he did last year, which was score in every facet of the game pretty much. I mean, I think the only thing he didn't have was like an interception for a touchdown.
Probably.
Like the guy was a phenomenal player. But it does scare me in that offense because they've never been a prolific throwing
The weird thing is
offense.
we talk about Jameson Crowder and me and this guy's consistent PPR, whatever, 67 catches. He'll have 61.
No,
It's not that far off. It just but he didn't even have 600 yards. He only had 593. He might have some big plays, but he's not consistently they throw him the ball short and hope he can do something. And so are teams gonna watch that a little bit closer? I don't know, but he had 6 touchdowns receiving. He ran 3 touchdowns in off his 11.1 yards per carry. 24.
It's ridiculous. I mean, the ratio of him touching the ball to him getting in the end zone is insane. I mean, the one that really gets you is the special teams because did he score 3 touchdowns off of that?
And he can get you an extra touchdown every week that way.
He could,
not every week, but
that's so hard that's impossible to predict.
So that's the problem with him. If you get him in this wide receiver 4 range, that's great. I just don't see. I think in every league someone's going to go higher, and that team who gets him higher, they're going to have some great weeks, but they're going to have too many of these 2-point weeks.
Yeah, that's exactly. If you have him that high, you're really banking on the fact that those weeks he does well, he kills it. So you win weeks because of him. Because if he's your number 2, number 1 guy, number 2 guy, if you get him as high as number 16, he'll lay eggs because that's just the kind of the how things go in KC.
Yep. All right, number 32 for me, Devontae Parker.
Holy shit. Yeah, I have Devontae Parker number 32. I thought I was going to be way high on him, too.
Me too.
I know we're a big fan of him, but I thought it was going to be way high because there are a lot of
This is more
guys.
of a potential pick, I think, for both of us. We both see the potential there. He showed flashes of it, got hurt a lot more, though. He's had some injuries, so is he ever going to completely do it? His numbers are okay. It's hard to even look at him because he's been hurt. 56 catches, 700 yards. Good yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. He's fine with his numbers.
He's just also playing, the wide receiver 3 part last year?
Yeah, he's... with Landry and Stills. And he's kind of been that. I think he has the potential to step up. This could be a guy you can get for a pretty good price, and he has the potential to jump up there and be a top guy. A lot of these guys around here really don't have that potential, I feel like. Even the guys we talked about, like Crowder and Snead, I feel like they're going to be good, but they don't have Parker's potential.
Yeah, and he's kind of one of those guys, and we were talking about, there's no doubt that, who am I looking for here? Julian Edelman. There's no doubt that Julian Edelman is a better wide receiver than him right now. But if I was going to have Julian Edelman as my number 3, or if I'm going to have Devontae Parker, probably I'm going to take the risk and do Devontae Parker knowing he has upside, knowing that wide receiver is easier to get.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, like points-wise, Julian Edelman could easily overtake him, but it's also why I have Devontae Parker 2 spots above him.
Yep. And I like that. I'm going to try to get him on a lot of my teams if he goes for a good price, and we're going to be fighting for him probably. We're both slightly higher.
Yeah.
He's consensus 39th, so we're just a little bit higher on him, but not crazy.
No. And the other thing I do like about him as well, Stills and Landry, both very serviceable, very, very, they're solid wide receivers, especially Landry. Devontae Parker is the only one that is kind of built for big playmaking. And I think he could easily overcome those guys. And even playing the wide receiving 3 part in this, I think he's kind of designated the wide receiver 2 anyway.
Yep.
Every time he steps on the field, he's probably going to be the one to get red zone looks if you're going to throw it up in the back of the end zone. So I think with the other personnel around him, it kind of creates this void, and he can actually fill it with that kind of playmaking ability. And that's also why I kind of like him.
All right, 33, Jeff. Who do you got?
33 is someone we talked about last week. That's Emmanuel Sanders for me.
Perfect. My 33, Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall. Ooh.
I
know.
I don't know.
How far can he fall?
I don't know. It's how much of last season was just that terrible Jets offense. That's what I'm wondering. That offense was terrible. The quarterback situation was terrible. It's hard to think he fell off that much. Maybe he did. He's 33 years old, but I don't feel like he fell off that much. I really don't. He dropped from 109 catches in 2015 to 59 catches last year. Yards went from 1,500 to 788. But his yards per catch was 13.8 in 2015, 13.4 in 2016. At least that didn't drop crazy. His touchdowns dropped from 14 to 3. I don't know how much. I really think a lot of that's the offense. I honestly do. The problem is, this isn't the first time we've seen this from Brandon Marshall. All those numbers I just said, all those drops, look at 2013 to 2014. He went from 100 catches to 61. 1,300 yards to 700 yards in Chicago. So my thought is, his first year with the team is great. This year he should be okay. Right. Next year, 2018, avoid Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
But he has Odell there to take all the pressure off him. Sterling Shepard too. He's not going to ever put up those numbers we saw in his first year with the Jets or that the last great year he had with Chicago. We're not going to see that. But I think he's going to have a bounce back year and be a decent enough player. That's pretty much what I have. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I have him at number 41.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you just said. I mean, I think it's great that he went to the Giants. I think he can actually be helped. I don't think he's the number one anymore.
But he's 33 years old, so he could be just done. We don't know.
He could be. I don't think he is. But how high can his numbers be when he's not the number one? And Odell Beckham is on the other side of him. So, I think he will be. I think he will be definitely worth having. I think his risk is a little better than his reward at the moment, depending on how much he goes for in your league. But he is a number 2 wide receiver that could potentially catch 10 touchdowns if they really key on him in the red zone. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Eli. I think one of the reasons why Odell is so special is because it doesn't matter where Eli throws it. I don't think that goes for Marshall. So I think he'll be better than last year, like you said, but I'm not expecting him to return to glory.
And we're actually probably slightly lower on him. He's 29th consensus-wise, as high as 18th, and as low as 40.
I kind of figured I was going to be really low on him, but I think I don't know. I think I'm the safer pick than picking him at 18.
Yeah, no, I 100%. 18's crazy.
Yeah.
To me, this is where he should be, in this range, maybe. And then, let's see here. He was my 33rd. Did we get to your 33rd player?
Yep, Emmanuel Sanders.
Right. Oh, that's what we said, yeah. 34 was Decker for me.
Julian Edelman for me.
35, Corey Davis. First rookie on the board.
All right. I like that. I have Corey Davis at 42.
You go either way.
Yeah, respectfully.
I just finally going to throw. I think he's going to be their top receiver when it comes down to it.
This is actually really funny. That was we're talking about 35?
Yep.
My number 35 is actually his teammate, Richard Matthews.
Where'd you say? Where was Davis for you?
42.
And I have Richard Matthews 42.
That's hilarious. So you actually think, and that's actually a better question, you actually think Corey Davis will
I think so.
Score more?
Yeah.
Okay.
And consensus-wise, Corey Davis is 37th. Richard Matthews is 38th. So they're
right next to each other.
This is what happens when you have wide receivers like this, teammates.
Yeah.
It feels like they're going to be like that. I guess, more potential right now. You're going more safe route. Richard Matthews can be safe. That's pretty much it. It's hard to... With rookies, I'd put him here for now, but who knows? It's a rookie wide receiver. You've seen guys that have done great. Beckham, Evans, last year Michael Thomas. You've seen guys who've done nothing. So
I think the big thing for me is he's in a system where he doesn't have to be the guy, and I think that'll benefit him. I think he's going to be a better wide receiver for it. I think Richard Matthews will continue doing what he does. But, I mean, and we talked about it in other podcasts as well, but the Titans really assembled quite the unit on offense. I mean, you have Walker, which is a very, very good tight end. You have Richard Matthews, who turned out to be a very, very quiet but successful wide receiver, number 1. You have an unbelievable running game with Murray and then Henry backing him up. Mariota is starting to come about. So they can really spread the ball around, and I think that will kind of make sure he doesn't have superstar numbers the first year.
Yep.
But I think it'll help him develop, and he's someone to watch because I think his touchdown potential is way higher than anyone else they have right now.
Yep. 36 for me. Randall Cobb. And I don't know what to think about Randall Cobb.
I have him number 43, so he's not off my list.
But I've
seen him...
And he's 41st consensus-wise. So
41st, okay. I saw some... I can't remember which rank I saw, but it was something crazy where he was in the top 20. I think.
that's nuts.
Yeah,
he has not shown that the last couple of years.
And I know he was very, very good in the playoffs last year.
I've seen him as low as 59th.
Well, I don't. Being outside the top 50 would not shock me at all. Like, he's kind of one of those that you're really banking on a resurgence.
You're banking on the Packers having enough offense to throw the ball to all these guys, because I think Adams is clearly past them. So
without a doubt. So he is the number 3 guy.
Yeah.
The question is, will one of those other guys pass him too, like Geronimo?
Yeah, who knows? It could. I'm not. This is one for me. I'm probably gonna avoid it if he's still, because I think his price will still be slightly inflated because of his name, but I don't know how much. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a lot. You are banking on a lot, but I think he's a great guy to take a flyer on, and that's kind of where I ranked him at number 43. You can take a flyer on him. I think that's all he's worth at the moment, but he does have huge upside because we've seen what he can do when he's fully functional.
Yeah, and I think he's probably just been hurt the last 2 years.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. He's been definitely having nagging injuries. Just how many years can you do that without falling out of complete favor with the team? I don't know.
All right, 36 for me. 36 for you was?
Someone I love to hate is Deshaun Jackson.
Okay.
I think he'll probably do similar numbers to what he's always done. He's a little bit of a banger bust guy, and that's why he falls right here. Nothing that exciting to get. You've seen it. He's at the tail end of his career kind of thing.
I have him 40th. It's just, it's what he is. I have him 40th because that's probably where he needs to be, but he's a guy I don't think I'll have on my team, ever.
No, and I won't either. This is where he should be, so I had to put him there.
36, I put him 40th. He's actually consensus rank 32nd.
Okay, so I'm a little lower.
And I think he actually got a little bit of a boost because a lot of these guys that go to a new team, you get slight boost right away for some reason.
Yeah, so and it could be.
I don't see it. My 37th was Tyreek Hill, so coming over that.
My 37th is the number 1 guy in Bear Country now, so Cameron Meredith.
Okay.
I think Glennon is going to be
good
capable.
Enough.
Yeah. Cameron Meredith showed flashes of what he can do last year. I feel like I say that all the time now. But he was way better than I thought he did. When I revisited numbers, I was pleasantly surprised. He has great size. He's going to be him in White. So I think you don't know if White is going to do anything, if he's going to be healthy even. So I think this guy will be there. And I think just for that reason alone, he could put up significant numbers. I mean, 1,000 yards should be relatively easy for this guy if he stays healthy.
I put him 45th, but, I don't know how much Kevin White's going to take away from him. We don't have a clue.
No idea.
So that's kind of where, what do you do with that? And consensus-wise, he's actually 45th. So he's as high as 20th.
Wow, someone loves him. I don't hate that 20th is too high for me, but I don't necessarily hate it because I do think he's a... But what I love about him, too, is I think he's a sleeper. I think a lot of people should key on this guy and get him, but it's one of those that you're not going to be able to bank on him for sure.
All right, my 38. I don't think you ever liked this guy, Stephon Diggs. You're never a fan. I just feel like I see that name and think, Jeff's going to hate this guy.
Yeah, and he's another one that I had to put on my list because I just go off of numbers and the potential they have and everything like that. But Stephon Diggs is on a terrible passing offense.
Just added Michael Floyd, though. Come on.
Yeah, and I have no idea. I don't know what they're doing there anymore. I can't tell. They're all over the board. Stephon Diggs, I have him number 39 just because I had to. But
okay, so
he will never be on any of my team. He'll never be on any of my team.
What would you guess he is consensus-wise?
He's going to be way... well, I hope he's... I don't know. Probably something stupid like 22nd or something.
28th.
Well,
we're about 10 spots low on him, which I'm fine with.
I guess I don't understand the hype behind him or why everyone thinks so much of him.
He had a couple huge games that was his rookie year, basically.
Yeah.
Last year he had one big game, at least.
I mean, he's the number 1 wide receiver.
He's had some big games. I think that's pretty much what it comes down to.
Also, I can't figure out who is the true... First of all, they draft Treadwell in the first round. They don't use the kid. So he's just sitting there. Thielen actually might be... He seems to catch balls more than Diggs does. And it's just a bad offense, too. So... Just the whole thing, I just kind of hate. I kind of just want to stay away from it. I mean, I know he's not talentless or anything like that. I know he's a pretty good wide receiver. I just think he's in such a crappy situation.
So he was, what, your 39th? Mm-hmm. Did we talk about your 38th? I can't remember at this point.
Actually, no, I didn't. We skipped it. My 38th was Corey Coleman.
Corey Coleman, okay.
So,
a little bit higher.
Yeah, he's the number 1 wide receiver in Cleveland. I don't know who's going to be throwing him the ball. I just know that they don't have a whole lot to throw to right now. It's him and Britt.
Yeah. I put him 46th.
Okay.
So a little lower, but he's 40th consensus-wise, so you're right there. He showed some flashes last year, so we'll see.
Yeah, his second year. I think he'll improve on what he did last year.
This is
you
a potential
can tell
pick.
he does have talent. I have no idea how they're going to use him, anything like that. So he did fall, obviously. He has the number 1 wide receiver to fall to number 38.
But yeah, when you're your 4th, 5th receiver, you can take some potential.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what he is for me.
39 for me was Jordan Matthews.
Okay. I have Jordan Matthews, number 44.
So, right in the same range. It's not much to say about Jordan Matthews, honestly. He has kind of disappointed. But this is actually good value, I feel, for him, finally.
I do, too, and I kind of like it. You're on an up-and-coming team.
He's not the guy, finally. He's the second.
I like the fact that you're number 2.
So. But he still had 73 catches last year.
He's a solid wide receiver.
Fine.
And he's never been on a extremely good, throwing team. When he was young, he was on Philly, and they were doing pretty well. And he's still doing the same kind of stuff. I mean, he could get 80 catches and 1,000 yards, no problem.
Yep. Yeah, so I can get him for a good value, so I like it. My 40th was Deshaun Jackson, which we talked about.
Yeah, my 40th was Pierre Garçon, which
I feel like it's a guy you don't like.
Yeah, I used to really like him, but he's just someone I can't get excited about. He's on 49ers, which I have no idea. Is he going to be
their number 1 guy? He is the number 1 guy, right?
I'm assuming he's number 1, but I have no idea what that offense is going to look like. They were so bad last year. No. They do have Hoyer, and that definitely should be profitable to him compared to a Kaepernick situation. He's definitely a step up from what they had last year because their wide receivers were all over the place. So there is definitely some value there. I just don't think I don't think there's gonna be a renaissance in San Fran next year. I'm just not that excited about him.
I put him 44th. Yeah, just kind of, he's fine.
Yeah,
bye week fill-in. Or for a team that really doesn't have wide receivers.
Yeah. And who knows, if you find out that him and Hoyer really have chemistry,
yep,
he could go out and get a ton of catches. He could be a PPR darling. He could do something.
Yep.
It's hard to get excited about someone you've seen kind of do this before.
41st for me is Kenny Britt.
Kenny Britt.
Yep.
So you actually hold it. Do you have him over Corey Coleman?
I do. And
that's a hard sell.
Okay. And I get, okay. When I'm looking at this, yes, as of right now, I rank them that way. But when I'm getting down to this level, I think, when I'm trying to think of this, okay, if this really is my if this is my 3rd receiver, Kenny Britt, I think he's more consistent. If this is going to be my 5th receiver, I'm looking, okay, Britt, Coleman, I'm picking Coleman probably, potentially. I think it depends on what situation you're in. If you need the guaranteed consistency points, I think you go Britt.
But you think Britt is going to outscore Coleman overall?
I'm not 100% sure. I just feel like he's going to be more consistent. Coleman could bust. He could do nothing. We don't know. That's more, maybe that's where I'm looking at. I think Britt should be consistent enough where if this is like your 3rd receiver, I think you probably try to go Britt if you want consistency. But if I'm a little bit 4th or 5th receiver, you want a guy who's going to potentially be somebody you can play and be really good. Corey Coleman, probably. As of now, I have him ahead. We'll see what's going on as the season goes on.
I do have him on my top 50, so Kenny Britt's number 47 for me.
Okay.
He did pretty well. He put up some numbers in L.A. last year, and that wasn't a very good team either. So he could easily kind of worm his way into a role on your fantasy team. I just don't see it. I feel like Kenny Britt has always struggled to kind of get going.
Yep. I could definitely.
I was a big fan of him last year, but once again, that's because no one paid attention to him.
I might drop him lower, but as of now, that's where I'm going to have him.
Yeah, it could turn out that way.
He's 44th in the consensus ranks. So
yeah, so it's not that far off.
No. All right, here we go. Where are we at? 41.
41. Actually, we already talked about mine. Brandon Marshall.
We talked about our 42nd players. I had Rashard Matthews. You had Corey Davis, right?
Correct.
43rd. Here we go. Another guy. Not excited about, but put him there for Jeremy Maclin.
Maclin actually missed my top 50.
And I can see that 100%.
But at the same time, I could see him easily sliding in there. I could see him going far above. What was the consensus? Because I could see him like at the back end of the 30s even for some of these.
47th. He's as high as 32nd, as low as 72nd.
Oh, wow.
See, some people are way down on him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
he was injured a lot
that
last
bad.
year, so yeah, his numbers look terrible. 44 catches, 500 yards, 2 touchdowns. That looks terrible. The 2 years before that, he was great. His first year in KC, 87 catches, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Very solid. If you get those numbers and you get him at this range,
it's unbelievable.
It's great. I don't see that. He's still should be the Kansas City's number one receiver, but really Kelsey's their number one target.
Yeah,
and then Hill's their playmaker. So even though he's their wide receiver he's like
their possession guy. I think he will get yardage. I don't think there's any way he's going to hit 8 touchdowns.
To me, he's like Pierre Garçon. He's like that, but Garçon is the clear number one without these other weapons.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm thinking. 43rd for you. Did we get your 43rd?
Oh, Randall Cobb.
44th was Garçon for me.
And that was Jordan Matthews for me.
45th, I had Cameron Meredith. Talk about him.
And I actually went with Mike Williams here.
Okay, Mike Williams did not make my top 50. He's actually my 51st.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that doesn't bother me at all.
He actually is my 51st. I don't know.
He's on a very talented offense now. And as long as he stays healthy, I think he can put up some numbers. He's very difficult for me to tell which end of the spectrum you're going to end up on in the rookie year, because he is a lot like, a lot like Davis that we talked about in Tennessee. Besides for the fact that I feel like Davis, he's in the top, 3 weapons when you talk about passing, and it's quite possible that Williams won't crack the top 5 until a few games in at least. So. You don't know if he doesn't catch on to the offense, it could be a long year.
He might not pass Tyrell Williams. We don't know.
Yeah, Tyrell Williams, Keenan Allen. You still have Hunter Henry, which should come on. You have Gates in the red zone, and and obviously Gordon ran the ball a ton.
Yep.
And that's and then you even have like Inman in there, which he should pass right away. But that's the only thing why I have a very hard time putting him higher. But he has all the ability in the world, so he's a fun one because he has a ton of upside. And I also see someone drafting him way ahead of where he should be. But then again, you could be, that could actually be the golden goose. I mean, because he's just a freak athlete.
Yep. I agree. He's right there. I can see him jumping him up. But all right, 46. I had Coleman. So
all right. I actually have another rookie. I went Zay Jones on this one.
Okay, and that's Zay Jones. I don't have my top, but I feel like he's going to be a great catch guy. I think he's going to get a lot of catches. From how many catches he had in college, I feel like he's going to be that type of player.
And I think he'll be useful, and that's why I have him here, assuming that Watkins plays as many games as he can. Yeah. Plays the majority of games. If Watkins goes down, this guy's stock goes way up.
I like Zay.
So I actually probably will target him in a lot of places because
I think if Watkins get him for a couple, like $2.
Yeah, and if Watkins stays healthy through the preseason, I think he could end up being a lottery ticket, really, because he could end up being the number one guy there, and they have to throw it to someone. So,
yep. He was 46, right?
Mm-hmm.
47. I have John Brown. He made my top 50.
John Brown did all right. Well, good for him.
I
like John Brown.
Seeing if he's healthy. If he's healthy, I feel like he's the number 2 receiver there. Maybe number 1 is Fitzgerald. I have him ranked ahead, but Fitzgerald could really drop. Brown could be the number 1 guy, but. Got to see if he's back fully. We don't know. We don't even know if that offense is back fully other than David Johnson. But he's going to make my top 54 now. But
I like that pick. I didn't put him on my top 50, but he's another one of those guys you don't know. And he does have the talent. You've seen it. Obviously, the Cardinals like him. They kept him around through injuries. So it's a very interesting one.
All right.
For my 47th, I had Kenny Britt.
Okay. So 48, another guy who... If he's healthy, I think he's going to be well above this, but don't know. Kevin White. He made my top 50.
Kevin White's my number 49th.
Okay, so we're right there. We have the same thought, and this is complete potential. And
absolutely.
He was a top 10 pick.
And he has all the opportunity in the world. That's why I love him. That's why Cameron Meredith is so much higher than him for me, because either one of these guys could blow up. There's no one else on that team. I mean, you're going to run the ball, obviously, and you have a pretty decent tight end. But one of these guys is going to have to produce. I think both of them could. There's plenty of opportunity. It's just whether or not this guy's going to stay on the field for me.
He was the 7th pick in the draft 2 years ago. He's talented enough, but we'll see if he's healthy enough. So 48. Who was your 40?
48 for me was Marvin Jones.
Okay, he didn't make my top 50. But
I don't blame you because he pissed everyone off.
Yep. But it's not a bad thing. No,
if he does anything like he did in that first half of the season, I mean, he really could be a top 20 guy if he gets his stuff together. That's what's crazy about it. But I'm not going to rank him that way because he was so disappointing in the second half of the season, and Tate really did overtake him. And once again, you have Ebron, everything like that. So Marvin Jones, 48.
My number 49, Adam Thielen, makes my top 50.
Thielen, we just mentioned him talking about the Vikings offense. I like the guy, but once again, I hate the Vikings offense. So
he barely cracks the top. We'll see. I don't know if he might not even do anything. He might completely that might have been a fluke. It's hard to say. But when he's like your fifth receiver, you can take a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that was 49. We talked about your 49?
Kevin White.
Yeah, that's what I thought. My 50. Round out my top 50. You already got your 50 in, right?
Nope.
Oh, we didn't?
Nope.
Right.
So both of our Mr. Irrelevance, if you will.
Here we go. My 50th player. We actually, before we get to 50, not many guys off the top 50 for us. Like,
yeah, I'm surprised at how,
pretty consistent here. Not bad. Like, really, only a couple guys.
This time we're, 8-10 spots apart at some, but other than that, same guys kind of.
My 50 is potential player here again. Josh Doxson.
Oh, I like that one.
And I like Doxson. I think I like him because he's in my dynasty team. That Jeff actually drafted and dropped.
Yeah, my team was too good.
I can't say much. You did win the championship, so I can't.
He was hurt all year. I really want to see how he turns out. I just knew I wasn't going to use him for years. I'm really actually pissed that you picked him up because I wanted to get him back.
I like the potential here. It's a complete potential pick. It's just
and finally, and we have mentioned it how many times before, but the players they moved off their roster makes way for Terrell Pryor, Doxson, Crowder to get better.
We'll see if there's enough to sustain with Crowder. Like Pryor, Reed,
and Doxson had a huge. I mean, I don't necessarily think he's a burner, but in NFL standards. But he had a ton of big plays in college, and I'm wondering if it's going to be the same kind of thing. If he can stretch the field, Crowder, run those possession routes, and then Terrell Pryor doing whatever the hell he can do because he's a beast.
Yep. All right, who's 50 for you?
50 for me is my favorite little man in the league. He's on probably the best offense besides for maybe Green Bay. But Taylor Gabriel.
Okay.
And I was a fan of him last year. I think he can get even better. I think this might be low. I think this is probably appropriate for now. But I think everyone's going to sleep on this guy once again.
They are.
Am I way off on this one?
No, well, you're not. I mean, he's 67th. But the top guy
17th
on these experts so far, the top expert puts him at 50th. So you'd have him there. He's as low as 82nd. But, yeah. He's a big play guy who could get...
And on such a great offense. Yep. They really do like him. I think he serves a purpose that only he's filling the role in right now. Because I don't think Sanu is going to... He does what he does. Yeah. You have a great running game. This guy can run all the intermediate routes. He can get yards after catch. And he's really a tough player.
16.5 yards per catch. It's a huge number.
Yeah.
6 touchdowns.
He's just impressive every time you watch him. He just always produces.
12.8 yards per carry. 4 carries.
4 carries. But yeah, so I like him quite a bit. He's a guy I would love to have on my bench.
Yep. All right, well, that wraps up our top 50 wide receivers. We end up probably like 53 or 4 guys, something like that. Not as much as I expected. We're fairly consistent with that. But, yeah, we got a lot of players in. We've talked about a lot of players. There's some guys actually below 50 that I'm interested in that we'll probably get to. We talk about even deep sleepers coming up. And there's rookies we didn't get to. John Ross.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about John Ross.
Didn't crack my top 50, but he's an intriguing one.
Brashard Perriman, another potential guy
yep.
I kind of like. There's some guys like that. Maybe Tyler Lockett.
Dude, how many times can I rank Tyler Lockett? This is the first year I'm just off of him.
And how did we not rank Cole Beasley?
Probably because we're good at what we do.
Yeah, he's like 74th consensus
I'm too hard on the guy because he actually did very well last year for him. But Dez is back, so
he's what he is. All right, but that's it for our wide receivers. We'll be back. Well, next week we'll be talking about quarterbacks and tight ends. There's probably not enough to talk about, go deep in the tight end rankings, so we might actually even combine those. Who knows? But we'll have quarterbacks and tight ends, and I think at this point we're probably going to skip kickers and defenses. Unless you want a whole kicker episode. Does that sound fun?
No, that doesn't.
Yeah, probably. What can you say? This guy might miss.
Whoever.
But, all right, we'll talk to you guys next week with some more rankings.